He failed so hard, he circled around and became successful.
We see Woo no.
We see Woo's butt.
Huh. Well, okay.
So this week we have a little bit of a different episode. Stephanie and I were just hanging out one weekend and we ended up watching The Room for funsies because I've always wanted to watch it. I mean, I'm sure people have heard about how notorious this film is, so we decided to pop it on and finally get to experience The Room, which led to us to also watch The Disaster Artist following because we're like, we need to know more. And then I posted a little poll to say, hey, would you guys like us to do an episode on this? Because this isn't a horror movie, let's be honest. And people said yes. So here we are covering The Room / Disaster Artist and all the fun things about that.
And it's its own type of horror. It's horrific.
It's horror in a sense for the viewer, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I could argue it's hilarious. This movie is so bad, obviously.
It borderlines on so bad it's good sometimes, but I would say for the most part, it's so bad it's good. But those sex scenes, I can't.
We're just jumping straight into the fact that this is somewhat of a softcore, that type of movie. I just won't say that word because I don't know if YouTube likes that word or not. So we're just gonna keep it. We're just gonna keep it at that.
Yeah, just a big white butt, like through a lot of it.
The butt that had to be in the movie. Otherwise, it will fail if we do not see the butt.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's literally what Tommy Wiseau. Tommy Wiseau.
We see Woo no.
We see Woo's butt. And then him just thrusting into her belly button. So that's fun.
Every step of the way, I was baffled. I was flabbergasted. I was completely taken aback.
Before we get too far into talking about this movie, if you've never heard about it, which I don't know how you wouldn't have, this is pretty much known to be the worst movie ever created. And it is an experience I think everyone should probably have once in their life.
Yeah, honestly, treat yourself and compare it to any other creative endeavor you've ever done and know that you have not failed this terribly.
Oh no, but it's one of those interesting things because it failed, but now it's like super popular. Well, I don't know about popular,
it's like a cult classic in a way. Yeah.
He failed so hard, he circled around and became successful.
Yeah, you did a full circle around the sun and made it back.
So diving into some background about the movie and the band, the myth, the legend, Tommy Wiseau. This movie came out in 2003. It's an American independent romantic drama film written, directed, and produced and starred by Tommy Wiseau. It's funny because if you actually Google it, it shows up as a comedy / romance.
Huh. Well... Okay.
It wasn't intended to be a comedy, but I think, revisionist history.
Yeah, for sure. For sure I could see it being a comedy, but I wouldn't call anything about it romantic.
No, I think this is like the antithesis of romance, right?
Yeah, it's all about cheating. So if you really get down to brass tacks and completely ignore how that's portrayed.
Yeah, the movie is set in San Francisco, and it is centered around a melodramatic love triangle, specifically between the banker, Johnny, who was played by Tommy. Johnny and Tommy's going to get me tripped up, I swear to God. The character's name is Johnny, played by Tommy, his deceptive fiancée, Lisa, and his conflicted best friend, Mark. And Mark is played by a guy named Greg Sestero. That is a very important name in the background of this movie.
I just can't believe it. I just can't.
Everybody just at a loss for words. Like, what can't you believe? The fact this exists or this man exists?
Everything. I can't believe that he and Greg remained friends after this experience, that they even started out friends, because this is just, especially how he's depicted in The Disaster Artist, he is such a strange, strange man.
And you all are villain. Yeah, y'all laugh. Ha ha ha. You know what? That's what villain do. Ha 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 ha.
This is a cool fucking building, man. How long have you lived here?
Must ask you again, don't talk about me. Not to class, not to anybody.
Yeah, no, of course.
I can't really see keeping ties with somebody like this and then having this experience and it putting a damper on your relationships, you know, in your own career, in your personal life, and then being like, and I'll keep this friend that ruined a lot of things for me can still be my friend.
Yeah. That was one of my questions for you, is just your overall thoughts on him. Because I think when we were watching the movie, I think I made the comment that I kind of feel bad for him in a way, but he also makes it really hard to feel bad for him. So he's just very interesting fellow. He had said that the film is 99.9% accurate, and he liked that it focused on the positive underdog portrayal of him. Do you... Your face is like, what the hell?
Admitting that it's 99.9% true, especially when it came to like the intimacy coordinating of those scenes, I'm just very surprised that he's owning up to like nearly 100% this whole thing is true, unless that's the 0.1%, which doubtful. I'm sure he didn't even think of it.
Right. He's like, I'm just gonna force this lady to have a sex scene with me, and he's not kind to her at any point. Does he call her like ugly and is like something's wrong with her body?
He points out like some sort of freckles or something on her shoulder, and he was like, get this, like, look at this, get this ugly body out of here, or something like that. It's very terrible and should have sent her like running and crying from the room, but she was a trooper and she decided to go forward with it.
God, what is this? What is this? This is disgusting.
It's my body.
No, there's pimples on the makeup. Makeup, come fix this disgusting body.
Our underdog Johnny.
As a person, I think that Tommy is very mysterious. Yes, I agree that he is strange, and it's sometimes, I think, easy to poke fun at someone that is strange, especially when you don't know the background. So if I want to give the benefit of the doubt and, you know, say that he did all of these quote unquote terrible things, or at least not terrible like he committed crimes, but he wasn't nice to people, and he was kind of towing the line of, you know, having an illegal shoot of some sort because he wasn't offering water, he wasn't doing air conditioning in the warehouse that they were filming.
I don't have time to explain script to you right now, okay? What is this makeup? You look like you're swimming in lake.
It's 100 degrees.
Makeup!
Tommy, if you're not gonna pay for air conditioning, you at least have to pay for water.
Can we maybe just have a little bit of water before the scene?
Okay, I stop you. I stop everybody right there, okay? Nobody in Hollywood will give you water
That's
either,
not
okay?
true. Dude, we can't work like this.
Well, I'm not Santa Claus, all right? Maybe you go buy water for everybody, Greg.
I don't know. Can you sympathize? I don't know. I don't know what his history was, and he's very, according to what we saw, evasive on giving his age, where he's from, anything. He keeps on saying he's from New Orleans in the movie, which is funny, but...
If I'm hearing a kind of Eastern European accent.
No, that's from New Orleans.
Where? What?
New Orleans, you heard, you know?
Where?
The Big Easy.
Oh, New Orleans.
Yeah, there's a lot of unanswered questions about him, and I go back and forth because he's a full-grown man at the end of the day, but you don't know anything about him. So like, where was he brought up? How was he brought up? Where, you know, so I'm conflicted about what I feel about him. At one moment I hate him, and at other moment I'm just intrigued, which is like why we're even doing this episode and like why we ended up watching The Disaster Artist, because I need to know more, but there's just a lot of unknowns about him. He's very secretive about how he obtained the funds for this movie. But he told Entertainment Weekly that he made some of the money by importing leather jackets from Korea. That was one of the explanations. According to the Disaster Artist book, which was written by Greg Sestero, the guy who played Mark, which is why I mentioned that name earlier, Wiseau was already independently wealthy at the time of production. Over several years, he claimed to have amassed a fortune through entrepreneurship and real estate development in Los Angeles and San Francisco. A story which Sestero found impossible to believe, so I guess he didn't even believe that was the case.
To be or not to be? That is the question. The answer: to be at street fashion. Be there for Levi's jeans. Street Fashions has the best prices, the best quality, and the best selection of Levi's jeans anywhere. Be who you want to be in Levi's jeans from Street Fashions. To be or not to be? Who do you want to be?
Didn't we hear somewhere that he was a landlord
Yeah.
to the many buildings, and that's why he had the funds.
Yeah, in the movie, at least. I don't remember if they explicitly say that, but he has like this key ring that has like, I swear, 100 rings on it. So I think that was, like I said, I can't remember if they specifically say that, but yeah, we had heard that as well. But there's more. There's even more theories here. Other theories about where he made his fortune have ranged from suggesting he was involved in some sort of crime ring in Eastern Europe, which doubles as an explanation for his secrecy regarding his youth, to a rumor he was hit by a car driven by a bigwig Hollywood producer and received a generous cash payout for his silence.
And I must say, it was a very big shock to me, given the quality of the production and everything, that it cost so much.
So much.
Well, it was like several $1 million,
yeah,
right?
but that's a lot. That's like more than like a normal, I don't want to say normal independent film, but it's still like not a lot for like a movie necessarily. But let's just say it should have been better quality.
Right.
So, but that just goes to show that money can't buy you talent.
Especially if you're not willing to take notes when people try to help you.
That was probably the most frustrating thing about him is you can't tell this man nothing.
Oh, like that one where he's laughing at Mark's story.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, ha ha ha, good one, Mark.
I used to know a girl. She had a dozen guys. One of them found out about it, beat her up so bad she ended up in a hospital on Guerrero Street.
What a story, Mark.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Used to know a girl, she had a dozen guys. One of them found out about it, beat her up so bad she ended up at a hospital on Guerrero Street.
What a story, Mark.
Cut!
He's not going to listen to you. We're going to be here all night. Just call it.
All right, cut, check it. Great, I think we got it.
And
something you should not
yeah,
be
something that
about.
wasn't going to be funny. It was just kind of like a foreboding sort of tale. And every time, no matter how many takes they did, he laughed and was like, haha, good one, Mark.
And in the movie, we see like other scenes. He did not know any of his lines at any given moment. And they were at the point where they just took anything that was semi-coherent. Perfect.
Yeah.
Cinema.
They just didn't want to call him back to fix it because at least he's working with them. They're almost done. Kind of thing. They ran over the expected time as well. Like at the end where he unalives himself, Seth Rogen's character in the disaster movie makes fun of the fact that, yeah, it makes sense that you get up and hump the pillow or hump her dress right after you've already shot yourself.
Yeah,
or
he's a zombie
after you've
now.
unalived yourself.
I know. These poor actors, they actually thought, a lot of the people in the movie and working on the movie, they thought the production was actually a front for some kind of money laundering scam. But Cicero ultimately doubted that story as well. So, but for a while, they thought they were part of some kind of scam, which I don't blame them. Could you imagine?
Yeah. Just with how much, well, when you see the person that is procuring the funds and has written the script and how he behaves on set, yeah, I think I'd have those questions as well.
If you watch the movie, none of it makes any sort of sense. What's the plot even? Lisa cheating on Mark. That's really about it.
Yeah, and I don't remember her name, but in the disaster movie, someone puts it very plainly on what each character represents, and they say that there was a Mark and there was the additional friends for Tommy, who might have been Johnny's friends in the past, and Lisa represents the world because he feels like he's never had a fair shot anywhere.
It's autobiographical. Someone in his life was a Denny, a kid brother he was always looking out for. Someone was a Mark, a better-looking friend he was always jealous of. I'm sure there was a Michelle and a Mike.
So, does that mean that there's a Lisa? Somebody who broke his heart and stabbed him in the back and ruined his life?
Well, that's pretty obvious to me. That's the universe.
And I can see that very clearly. any sense of logic would come into this story, this background of this person, you just like throw that out the window because why would that happen? Because that would make sense.
According to Sestro, the character of Lisa is based on a former lover of Wiseau's to whom he intended to propose marriage with a $1,500 diamond engagement ring. But because she betrayed him multiple times, quote unquote, the relationship ended up in a breakup. I don't know about that. I feel like he's the type to just, like, she could have done anything. She went to the store without him. She betrayed me.
Were they even dating would be my question.
That is a fair question.
It's terrible, but I don't know. Every time any sense of logic would come into this story, this background of this person, you just like throw that out the window because why would that happen? Because that would make sense.
There's just so many thoughts in my head of like, okay, so what's the true story? And like, if they weren't actually dating, like, what's the backstory behind that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he fell in love with a fellow actor. Well, I say fellow actress as if he's like an actual actor.
Because I don't think he was acting beforehand, at least based on what we saw in the disaster movie, because that was sort of autobiographical with Mark, at least writing what he knew of him.
It was 99.9% accurate, apparently. So they were in some kind of class together at the beginning, weren't they?
Right. I'm sure that's pretty common in California, that you can attend an acting class just off the street. So it doesn't
they were in
necessarily
college or something.
I don't know if it was college.
Well, doesn't really matter. Point being, Johnny he was doing the most.
Yeah, and they just kind of let him come down all broody and do whatever he wanted.
He's the type of person you don't say no to, and like, we're responsible for creating this monster.
Well, I would say it probably started off with that acting class. They just let him go down there and they were like, let him blow off steam and we can talk to everybody else about how they can improve their acting and just let Tommy do what he wants. I can't blame it on his history because we don't know it. So
I know we already talked about like, where could he be from? And his accent is so like nondescript. I mean, people say he's Polish, and I kind of laugh to myself because both you and I there's a good amount of Polish descent in us.
Yeah, and we're like, no, we can't claim this one. Like,
I'm not actually from there. That's just my family.
All right.
I mean, I couldn't tell you what that accent was, but again, that's not confirmed. I initially thought it was confirmed. When we were watching the movie, I looked it up, but apparently it's not that
just speculation.
Somewhere in Europe, but God knows it's not New Orleans. This liar.
For sure.
A little bit more info on like the story, like the actual script story of The Room. I found this article called The Bizarre Story Behind the Room. It states that The Room began life as either a 500 or 600 page novel. Wiseau seems unsure of the original length and has changed it multiple times in interviews. But it was written 2 decades prior to the film's eventual release in 2003. Wiseau's supposed intention was to turn the novel into a play, but he abruptly changed his mind and decided to turn it into a film instead. His reasoning, he claims that he did some research and found that more people watched movies than plays.
Sure.
I guess that's a good reason, and it also explains why the movie's called The Room, because there's no explanation.
Yeah. And I guess it does take place in a room.
There's really 3 locations in this whole movie. Tommy Johnny's apartment, his bedroom, and then the roof.
Yeah, or like a random outside sprinkling.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just change the location, but otherwise it's always in that living room and or the roof / bedroom. And the door of these rooms are so comical because every time someone comes in, you can just tell that there's a line of people waiting to also come in. And they'll come in as simple as like, oh, hi, Johnny. Then they'll leave, or they'll go up to the roof, and that's not technically leaving.
Hey, Denny, how are you doing?
I'm fine. What's new? I gotta go. Bye.
Bye, Denny.
People will come in and they'll say like 2 things and they're like, oh, I have to go. Oh, I'm busy. That's the entirety of this movie. I'm not even kidding. It's just character comes in, says one line, and leaves.
Right. Unless Lisa is confessing to them that she is in love with Mark. Then there's like a few more lines, but then they're still going to be like, well, I'm busy. I have to go. Also, it gets confusing because they call Johnny, her fiance, her future husband, her husband, in no particular order. It could be her husband, then fiance. Because at one point, all the men of the cast wear tuxes. And we were like, did we miss the wedding day? Because they all just go out in an alley and play football. And then we were like, so they're married now? Because why else would they be wearing formal tuxes?
They just wanted to play football in tuxes. It's like, that's the level of insanity we're dealing with, which isn't like on paper that crazy, but in context of a random scene in a movie, that's absurd.
Right. And then they keep on going back and forth about like, will Lisa leave Johnny to be with Mark, and other people that find out about the relationship are encouraging her. So then when you see the tuxes, it automatically, at least to the audience that are thinking along like a natural plot line, they're like, oh, Lisa still went through with marrying Johnny. No.
I love Johnny. I hate Johnny. I want to be with Mark. I want to be with Johnny. Circles.
Right. Or like, I love Mark, but I want to live with Johnny, basically.
For financial stability.
Yeah, financial stability. And then there was that one lie, too, where it was completely just out of left field. She had to talk to anybody about it, but they announced on the roof that she was expecting.
We're expecting!
And then she just admitted that she did that to make it interesting.
When is the baby due?
There is no baby.
What?
I told him that to make it interesting. We're probably gonna have a baby eventually anyway.
I'm like, was it not already interesting? Lisa, I don't know how anybody else can give you more attention. There's a line out your door ready to give you attention.
I know. And that was the moment I was like, you know what? Not that I was ever on Lisa's side per se, because she's cheating and that's just wrong, or there's no reason for that ever. But now I was like, okay, girl, you're a psychopath.
Still, though, it is matched with Tommy's portrayal of Johnny. So it's like, do you feel bad for this man because of this crazy situation with Lisa? But it's acted out by Tommy Wiseau. So you're like, I don't know.
I don't know, because he in the movie doesn't do anything particularly off the walls outside of just being a strange man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he seems well-intending.
Yeah.
Right? Outside of the sex scene, so we're gonna like put that aside.
Yeah, and there's a couple of scenes. I would say Mark has the more like outlandish reactions, I guess, like when he holds their friend that's a lawyer over the roof. Yeah, I would say that Johnny is just strange. So you're like, you don't condone what Lisa's doing, but you're also like, I kind of get it. Like, I get why you're doing this, but maybe we should just leave this strange person.
Right, that's what I was saying. Like, I don't sympathize with Lisa because she's cheating, but like, at the same time, like, just leave him. Please, like, I know you want your financial stability, but like, just you gotta go. You gotta go, girl. Get out.
They're just all wild, honestly. Like every little thing. Like I laugh when I saw in your notes that you said that just in case Johnny ends up being a vampire, and I thought that was wild. That was a possibility for quite some time.
Yeah, I found this article called 27 Wild Stories from the Making of The Room, the worst movie ever. It's on GameSpot.com. You could look at all 27. But I did write down some of the like funnier, more outlandish ones. And to your point, The Room almost had a supernatural twist. That was number 9 on the list. I want my car, Tommy began, to fly off the roof and into the sky. When asked how this would fit into the rest of the room, he explained, it's just possible side plot. Maybe Johnny is vampire. And honestly, I wouldn't have questioned it at that point.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the one movie he has seen is Grease, and that's what he's thinking.
Number 5 on the list, it mentioned Tommy had unusual casting call manners. It stated Tommy had a lot of trouble casting the part of Chris-R, which is a whole nother thing. Probably because he chose to greet most of the guys auditioning for the part by jumping them when they walked through the door.
Okay.
I am confusion.
From the get-go, how do you react to being jumped? And we'll tell you if you get the part off that.
I mean, Chris R., we haven't talked about because he's a drug dealer who shows up for one scene to get money from Denny, who we also haven't talked about. Not that it matters. That side plot happens and then leaves all within the span of one scene. So
we haven't mentioned Denny yet. That's another perplexing thing about what the fuck is going on there.
There's this like kid. He's an adult.
Yeah,
he's like 18 in the movie.
You can totally tell
like,
that he's an adult.
Is he meant to? At first, we thought he was meant to be like a kid.
Yes.
And then he's like hitting on Lisa.
Mm-hmm. They said that Johnny's character was paying for his apartment. So I'm guessing he's like a neighbor kid.
Yeah, he lives around.
And paying for his school. So then when we find out he's been doing drugs, Lisa very desperately wants to know, where are the drugs? Like, what is he doing with the drugs? And that doesn't matter anymore because Chris R. has been arrested.
Are you okay, Danny?
I'm okay.
Are you okay?
I'm okay.
What's okay? He's taking drugs.
Come on, stop. It was a mistake.
A mistake. That he takes drugs.
Let's go home.
There's some, not, I don't want to say so many little side plots and side scenes that actually don't mean anything at all, but that is one of them.
One more I can think of.
What?
Lisa's mom and her breast cancer. And they just say it so matter-of-factly, like, you'll be okay. It's not like a big, like, terrible moment.
Nobody wants to help me, and I'm dying.
You're not dying, Mom.
I got the results of the test back. I definitely have breast cancer. I'm sure I'll be all right. Oh, I heard Edward is talking about me. He is a hateful man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just drop that little...
Yeah, that's the whole movie in a nutshell.
Just a few more little interesting items on that list. Number 13 said, things got so tense that Tommy feared he would be poisoned. It said, aware that his crew and actors were getting fed up with him, Tommy began to fear that someone would try to tamper with his food. This is a quote. He didn't like anyone but himself preparing his food plate, especially after the difficult first week of production. He occasionally voiced concerns that someone might spit in his food or drink. Tommy also refused to eat off plastic utensils, which he worried could be poisoned. Which explains a lot about him, like just being so paranoid about everything.
Right. And then we saw in the Disaster Artist movie, he did pay to have his own bathroom installed in this warehouse that already had bathrooms. And it was like a purposefully director-only bathroom that had just a big, like, shower curtain around it, essentially, or a tarp, something.
It was arguably so much worse than just using
the public bathroom, with everybody else.
That, I feel, was some sort of, like, status thing. Like, he felt he had to be important and have that, his own bathroom.
Maybe, yeah, that could be.
Along with his other tendencies, I don't know, but I feel like he just wanted to have his own director.
Yeah, make him feel special.
Special little Tommy.
I can also say, by the way he treated everyone, I don't think it's a far stretch to assume somebody like that would be afraid of being poisoned either.
Through the toilet?
Not necessarily the toilet, like a contact poisoning.
Right through the booty cheeks.
No, I meant with the food and the plastic silverware, but yes.
Right up the hole. And then the last one I had was number 19. It said, Tommy couldn't tell if the flower shop dog was real. Tommy asked, so this is real thing. The flower shop owner looked at Tommy uncertainly. I'm sorry, she said after a moment. Your dog, Tommy said, unfazed. Is it a real thing? The woman kept looking at Tommy, probably trying to figure out whether this man who'd taken over her store was really asking if her dog was real. Did Tommy think it was a robot, an android pug of some kind? Yes, the woman said finally. My dog is a real thing.
Damn. Yeah, like there's just so many question marks on what makes this kind of individual. That's all I have, honestly, because again, we don't know what his life was growing up. Did he never see animals? Did he never watch movies? Did he?
Well, Steph,
was he involved in a gang? Like,
we actually have to go take a trip to our motherland because all the dogs there are actually robots. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, like I have been putting off visiting the motherland, but that would make sense. Dog, real thing.
So can't blame him.
Yeah.
So for this episode, we are not actually doing ratings. So like our whole 13 Degrees of Screams is not relevant for this because it would be a 0.
And we can't go into the negatives on this.
Yeah, right.
We're not going to introduce that concept either.
I do think for a fun time, you should go see this, especially with friends.
Right.
And it's quite the experience, to say the least.
Yeah. And then every moment that there is an intimacy scene, just be on your phone because it's literally repeats of the first time there was an intimacy scene. And they're about 4 to 5 minutes long. And that's pretty long for any
It's half
span
the
of movie. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Just scroll TikTok or whatever you want to do.
Come
for
right
that.
back once you hear the talking again.
Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to be notified when we post new episodes.
You can find us on social media using 13 Degrees of Screams.
This has been 13 Degrees of Screams, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.